Thank God, this incredible HFY masterpiece found you today. Witness the legend starting now. And GT been silent until they were not. Captain Day stood on the bridge of the horizon. And GT, music. And GT, humanity's first deep space vessel. His hands gripped the railing as he watched the view screen display. Something impossible. A massive structure floated in the darkness, larger than any moon. It was not natural. The geometric patterns and glowing lights made that clear. How long until we reach it? Day asked. Lieutenant Hanna checked her console. 30 minutes at current speed. Sir, the ship had been traveling for 6 months. Earth had sent them to investigate strange signals coming from this sector. Nobody expected to find anything like this. The structure was a station, perhaps a city. It belonged to someone. And that someone was not human. Slow our approach, Day ordered. Send the greeting message again. They had been sending messages for the past hour. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, images of Earth and humanity. So far, there had been no response. Silence made everyone nervous. Engineer Tay spoke from his station. Captain, I'm detecting multiple energy signatures. The station is active. Very music. Active, Day nodded. Weapons? Unknown, sir, but there is enough power. They're to destroy us 100 times. Over. The crew exchanged music, worried glances. They had no weapons. The horizon was built for exploration, music, not combat. Humanity had no enemies among the stars because they had never met anyone else. Until now, suddenly the view screen flickered. A face appeared. It was not human. Large eyes, blue music skin, mouth but no nose. The alien looked at them with an expression that might have been curiosity. Greetings, Day said slowly. We are humans from the planet Earth. We come in peace. The alien tilted its head. For a moment, nothing happened. Then it spoke. The words were strange, musical sounds that made no sense. Universal translator that linguist G had. Music built began working immediately. After a few seconds, the alien's words became clear. You are not registered, the alien said. Your vessel is primitive. Your biology is unknown. How did you achieve faster than light travel? Day felt his heart music race. They had so many questions, but he needed to be diplomatic. We developed music it ourselves. We are a young species. This is our first time meeting other intelligent life. The alien's large eyes widened. Developed it yourselves? Impossible. All species receive the technology after proving they are ready. Who gave it to you? Nobody. Day answered honestly. We built it over many years, trial and error, many failures before success. The alien disappeared from the screen. And GT, music. And GT. For several minutes there was only silence. The crew waited, tense and uncertain. Had they said something wrong? Was this first contact going to end in disaster? When the alien returned, it was not alone. Several other beings stood behind it, different colors, different shapes, but all watching the humans with intense interest. This is unprecedented. And GT, music. And GT, the blue alien said. In 10,000 years, no species has achieved faster than light travel without assistance. You must come aboard our station. The council will want to meet you. Day looked at his crew. This was the moment they had dreamed about and feared. Is it music safe? We mean you no harm. The alien replied, we are the Galactic Federation. We maintain peace and order among 300 species. If you truly develop this technology alone, you are extraordinary. We must understand how. After a brief discussion with his officers, Day agreed a small team would board the station. Himself, Hana, G, and Tay. 4 humans about to set foot in an alien world. The docking procedure was smooth. The station's technology adjusted itself to accommodate the horizon. Music. When the airlock opened, they found themselves in a massive corridor. Gravity felt right. The air was breathable. The aliens had made it comfortable for them. A group of beings waited. The blue alien from the screen stepped forward. I am Ambassador Vrel. Welcome to Station Unity. Please follow me. They walked through corridors that defied imagination. Music. Beings of all shapes and sizes moved about their business. Some flew, some walked, some seemed to float. Technology that seemed like magic surrounded them. Holographic displays floating. Platforms, walls that changed color and shape. Vrel led them to a large chamber. Inside, dozens of aliens sat in a circular arrangement. This was the Council, the leaders of the Federation. They all turned to look at the humans. Counselors, Vrel announced, I present the humans of Earth. And GT, music. And GT, an alien that looked like living crystal, spoke first. You claim to have developed faster than light travel independently. This is a very serious claim. If true, you would be the first species in recorded history to do so. Day stepped forward. It is true, we can provide all our research, our designs, everything. We did not know other intelligent life existed. We explored because we wanted to know what was out there. A gaseous being that floated in a containment suit spoke next. Why did you not wait? Why did you rush into the unknown unprepared? Because waiting is not in our nature, Day replied. Humans are curious. We explore, we discover, we push boundaries. It is who we are. Crystalline being made a sound like chiming bells. Curious, tell me how many of your kind died developing this technology. Day felt a weight in his chest. 17 brave souls who volunteered knowing the risks. Chamber fell silent. The aliens looked at each other, communicating in ways the humans could not understand. Finally, Vrel spoke. In the Federation, such losses are unacceptable. We develop technology slowly, carefully. Safety is paramount. The idea of volunteers dying for progress is barbaric to us. Then you do not understand humans, Hana said, speaking for the first time. Those 17 died doing what they loved. They died pushing humanity forward. We honor them by continuing their work. The Council deliberated. Music quietly. Day could see they were troubled by something. Finally, the crystalline being spoke. Music again. There is a problem, a great problem. For a century we have faced a crisis, a region of space called the Burn Music Zone. It is deadly. Radiation, gravitational anomalies, hostile environments. Music, we need to cross it to reach other galaxies, but every attempt has failed. Every species that tries loses ships and lives. We have given up. What does this have to do with us? Tay asked. Vrel turned to Them if you truly have the determination you claim, perhaps you could succeed where we have failed. But it would be dangerous, very dangerous. Day looked at his crew. They all nodded. They understood. Tell us more, Day said. We are listening. The holographic display showed a section of space that looked wrong, colors that should not exist swirled together. Stars appeared and disappeared randomly. The visual alone made Hana feel uncomfortable. This is the burn zone, Vrel explained. It spans 3 light years. On the other side is the Andromeda Gateway, a natural wormhole to your neighboring galaxy. Access to Andromeda would allow us to expand, to grow, to meet new species. But we cannot cross. Tay studied the data streaming across her tablet. The numbers were disturbing. Temperature extremes, radiation levels that would kill most species instantly. Gravitational forces that could tear ships apart. How many have tried? 47. Expeditions over 100 years. Crystalline being answered. Ships from different species using different technologies all failed. Some turned back, others were destroyed. We lost over 2,000 beings. After that, the council voted to declare the zone music impassable. Vrel added it was logical. The risk was too great. Day walked closer to the holographic display. He studied the swirling chaos, trying to understand it. What causes this? A supernova occurred here 2 million years ago, Vrel explained. But something went wrong. The explosion created a permanent instability. Space itself is damaged. Music, the laws of physics do not work correctly in there. Tay rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Has anyone tried mapping a path through it? Finding the safest route? Many times. Another council member spoke. This one looked like a floating jellyfish. But the zone changes constantly. A safe path one day becomes deadly the next. There is no pattern, no predictability. Hana looked at the captain. This sounds impossible. Most things do until someone does them, Day replied. He turned to the council. Why do you think we might succeed? Vrel's large eyes studied them carefully. Because you are different. Your biology, your thinking, your determination, music. Every Federation species evolved on safe worlds, peaceful environments. You evolved music on a death world. Death world? G asked. The jellyfish being pulsed with color. Earth is classified as a Class 9. Hazard world. Extreme weather, deadly predators, diseases, natural disasters. Most Federation species could not survive one day on your planet without extensive protection, yet you thrived. There, you evolved to handle stress, danger, adaptation. The crystalline being chimed in agreement. Your bodies produce adrenaline, a chemical that makes you faster and stronger in danger. You have redundant organs. Your immune system fights off infections that would kill us. You heal from injuries we cannot. You are built for survival. Day had never thought of humanity that way. To him, Earth was just home. Normal, but seeing it through alien eyes, he began to understand. Humans were tougher than they realized. There is music more. Vrel continued. Your psychology. You mentioned 17 died. Developing your faster-than-light drive. You mourned them but continued. Federation species would have stopped. After the first death, you have something we do not. You persist despite fear. You overcome despite odds. You do not give up. You want us to attempt crossing the burn zone. Day said it was not a question. We want to offer you a partnership, the crystalline being said. And GT, music. And GT, help us cross and humanity will be welcomed into the Federation as full members. You will have access to all our technology, all our knowledge, all our resources. Your species will advance 1,000 years in mere decades. It was a tempting offer, everything humanity had dreamed of. But Day was careful. And if we fail, then you fail trying, Vrel said. Simply, no shame in that, many have failed before you. And GT, music. And GT, the captain looked at his crew. Hannah seemed nervous but determined. G was already calculating probabilities in her head. Tay looked excited by the engineering challenge. And GT, music. And GT, they were ready, but this decision was too big for just 4 people. We need to consult with Earth, Day said. Our leaders must decide. Of course, Vrel agreed. We will provide a direct communication link. Speak with your world. They were given private quarters on the station. Rooms were strange but comfortable. Technology adjusted to their needs automatically. That night they opened a channel to Earth. The time delay was minimal thanks to Federation communication systems. The president appeared on the screen. Behind her were military advisors, scientists and diplomats. Everyone wanted to hear about first contact. Day explained everything. Music, the Federation, the Council, the offer, the burn zone. When he finished, there was a long silence. Let me be clear, the president said. They want us to risk human lives, attempting something that has killed thousands of aliens. Yes, ma'am, Day confirmed. But if we succeed, humanity gains everything. Technology, knowledge, allies. We would no longer be alone in the universe. And if we fail trying. And GT, music. And GT, Day repeated Vrel's words. But I believe we can do this. Humans are survivors. We have crossed oceans, survived ice ages, landed on the moon. We do not surrender to obstacles. The president looked at her advisors. A long discussion followed. Arguments for and against. Some called it too risky, others called it opportunity. Finally, the president made her decision. Captain Day, you have authorization to proceed, but you will not go alone. We are sending additional ships and crew, scientists, engineers, doctors. If humanity is going to attempt the impossible, we will do it properly. 3 months later, 5 human ships gathered near Station Unity. The Horizon had been joined by the Defiance, the Pioneer, the Endurance, and the Discovery. Each ship carried specialists. Together, they had over 300 people ready to attempt the crossing. The Federation provided supplies and support, medical technology to help with radiation exposure, shield enhancements to protect against gravitational stress, navigation systems to track the ever-changing conditions inside the zone. Day met with the other captains. Captain Sora of the Defiance was a military officer, disciplined and strategic. Captain Young of the Pioneer was a scientist who had studied astrophysics his whole life. Captain Mina of the Endurance was an engineer who could fix anything. Captain Juan of the Discovery was a doctor and biologist ready to handle medical emergencies. Together, they reviewed the data from previous attempts. Every failed mission was studied. Every mistake was noted. They learned what not to do. The key is adaptation, Young Music explained. We cannot plan for every situation. We must react and adjust. That is our advantage. Humans are good at improvisation. We also need to take care of each other, Mina added. The zone will test us physically and mentally. We stay together, no one gets left. Music behind. Juan had prepared medical protocols. Radiation exposure will be significant. I have treatments ready, but they are not pleasant. Everyone will music suffer. The question is whether we can endure long enough to cross. We can. And GT, music. And GT, Sora said firmly. Humans have endured worse. We just need to remember why we are doing this. On the day of departure, thousands of aliens gathered to watch. News of the human attempt had spread across the Federation. Some were curious. Some were skeptical. Some were hopeful. Vrel came to see them off. Good luck, humans. You carry the hopes of many species. Day shook the ambassador's hand. A gesture Vrel had learned. We will not disappoint you. The 5 ships formed a tight formation. They had trained together, synchronized their systems, established communication protocols. They were ready. All ships report status. Day commanded. One by one, the captains confirmed readiness. Then let us make history, Day said. Engage engines. Forward into the burn zone. The ships moved as one, leaving the safety of Federation space behind. Ahead lay the swirling chaos of the zone. Behind lay the watching eyes of 300 alien species. Humanity was about to prove what they were made of. The moment they crossed the boundary, everything changed. Alarms screamed. Across every ship, the view screens showed colors that hurt to look at. Ships shook violently as gravitation waves hit them from multiple directions. Day gripped his chair as the horizon bucked like a wild animal. Shields holding, Hannah reported her voice strained. Barely. The stress is incredible. Temperature rising. Tay called out. External hull reaching critical levels. G worked frantically at her console. Gravitational readings are impossible. We are being pulled 3 different ways at once. This should not be possible. Welcome to the burn zone, Day muttered. All ships report status. Other captains responded quickly. All 5 ships were intact but struggling. The shields were draining power faster than expected. The engines were working overtime just to maintain formation. We need to move music deeper, Young transmitted from the Pioneer. Staying at the edge is worst. The boundary has the most turbulence. Agreed, Sora added. Forward at half speed. Stay tight. They pushed deeper into the chaos. The journey became a nightmare of constant crisis. One moment, extreme cold music would threaten to freeze their systems. The next, heat would spike to dangerous levels. Radiation counters climbed music steadily, ticking away at their safety margins. 2 hours in, the first injury occurred. An engineer on the Defiance was thrown music against a bulkhead when the ship lurched unexpectedly. Broken arm, concussion. Juan transported over immediately to provide treatment. This is just the beginning. The doctor warned privately today. Everyone is experiencing radiation sickness, nausea, fatigue, weakness. Music, it will get worse before it gets better. Day felt it himself, his stomach churned, his head ached. But he pushed through it, he had to. The crew needed him focused. 4 hours in, they encountered the first major obstacle, a gravitational vortex. And GT, music. And GT, spinning in space like a whirlpool in water, it pulled at the ships with tremendous force. We cannot go around it. G calculated, it is too music large. Going around adds days to our journey. We do not have enough supplies. Then we go through, Day decided. Through, Mina sounded doubtful. Captain, the forces in there will tear us apart. Music. Not if we ride it correctly, Young interjected. Like surfing a wave. We match the spin, use the momentum too. Slingshot through. It was risky, insane really. But staying meant slow death from radiation. Going back meant failure. Forward was the only option. All ships configure for spiral trajectory. Day commanded, we follow the pioneers. Lead. Young, you have the best understanding of the physics, guide us through. The 5 ships adjusted their formation. They approached the vortex carefully, then dove in. Immediately, the spin grabbed them. The ships rotated violently, spiraling down into the gravitational well. The crew was thrown around despite harnesses and restraints. Equipment shook loose. Lights flickered. Maintain engine. Music power, Young's voice crackled. Over the comm, trust the mathematics. We will exit on the far side. It felt like falling and spinning and being crushed all at once. Day's vision blurred. Music. Blood rushed to his head. The artificial gravity systems fought against the natural forces and lost. People floated. Music, then slammed down, then floated again. Just when it seemed they could take no more, they shot out the other side. The spin released them, and they tumbled into calmer space. Relatively calmer anyway. The burn zone had no true calm. Status report. Day gasped, fighting nausea. One by one, the ships reported damage: cracked hull, plating, burned out systems, injured crew, but they were all intact. Music. They had survived. 10 hours down. Sora transmitted. Approximately 62 hours to go. Those next hours, music blurred together into an endless trial. They navigated through radiation storms that lit up their music shields like fireworks. They dodged spatial anomalies that could bend metal like paper. They endured temperature swings that went from absolute zero to hotter than the surface of a star. The crew began to break down. Not from cowardice, but from simple biology. The radiation was cumulative. The stress was constant. Bodies could only take so much. Engineers worked music through fever and pain to keep the ships running. Pilots flew while vomiting from radiation sickness. Scientists calculated trajectories while their hands shook uncontrollably. Doctors treated others while suffering the same symptoms. Music. At the 20-hour mark, Day received a private call from Juan. Captain, we need to talk about a serious issue. Go ahead. Doctor, the radiation exposure is exceeding safe limits. In about 30 more hours it will reach lethal levels. The treatments I have can only do so much. We might not make it. Day felt ice in his stomach. What are our options? Increase speed, get through faster, but that means more stress on the ships and crew, or slow down, conserve strength. But that means more radiation exposure. Over time, there is no good choice. What do you recommend? Juan was quiet for a moment. Speed up, we are humans. We are built for short, intense efforts. Marathon runners compared to sprinters. We are better sprinters. Push hard, push. Fast, get through before our bodies completely fail. Day called a captain's conference. All 5 leaders discussed the situation. It was grim, but the decision was clear. We increase speed by 20%, Day announced. And GT, music. And GT, I know it is difficult. I know everyone is suffering. But we are humans, we do not quit. We push through pain. We overcome obstacles, this is what we do, the other captains agreed. And GT, music. And GT, the message went out to all crew members. The response was remarkable. Despite sickness, despite injuries, despite exhaustion, the crews rallied. They increased engine output, they reinforced systems, they prepared for the final push. The ships accelerated into the heart of the burn zone. The stress increased. More systems failed. More people collapsed, but they kept going. At the 40-hour mark, the Endurance lost main power. Backup systems kicked in. And GT, music. And GT, but they were limited. Mina worked miracles keeping the ship moving. Rerouting power from life support to engine. Her crew wore emergency suits and breathed bottled air. At the 50-hour mark, half the people on the Discovery music were too sick to work. Juan and his medical team struggled to keep everyone alive. They shared oxygen, shared medicine, shared hope. At the 60-hour mark, communications between ships started failing. The radiation interfered with everything. They could barely see each other on sensors, but they maintained formation through pure determination and skill. Day had not slept in 3 days. His body screamed for rest, but he refused. Not yet, not until they were through. He sat in his captain's chair, watching the instruments, watching his crew, watching the path ahead. Hannah collapsed at her station at hour 63. Day caught her before she hit the floor. Her eyes were unfocused, her skin pale. The radiation was winning. Get her to medical, Day ordered. A crewman helped carry her away. Day took over her console despite his own shaking hands. Captain, I have good news, I think. The readings ahead are changing. The chaos is lessening. The edge of the zone, Day asked hope. Rising, I believe so. Another 9 hours. Maybe 10 more hours. It sounded like forever. But it also sounded like survival. They could do this. They had to do this. Day opened a channel to all ships. All crews, this is Captain Day. We are approaching the edge of the burn zone. 10 more hours. I know you are hurt. I know you are sick. I know you want to stop, but we are almost there. Music, push for 10 more hours. Give me everything you have left. Give me one final effort. And GT, music. And GT, for humanity, for Earth, for everyone. Watching, across all 5 ships, people heard the message in medical music. Bays and engine rooms, on bridges, corridors, humans who could barely stand forced themselves upright. Humans who could barely see focused their eyes. Humans who could barely breathe took deep breaths and prepared. They would make it, because that is what humans do. They endure. The change was gradual at first. The violent shaking decreased. The wild temperature swings became less extreme. The colors on the view screen started looking normal again. Hour by hour, the chaos faded. They watched the radiation counter. It was still climbing, but slower now. They were leaving the worst behind. 8 hours, Tay reported. The edge is definitely ahead. Around the horizon, the crew moved like ghosts. Everyone was sick. Many had collapsed completely. And GT, music. And GT, the medical bay was full. People lay in corridors and cargo bays. Anywhere there was space. Juan and his team moved among them, providing what treatment they could. Music. The other ships were in similar condition. The Defiance had lost life support on 2 decks. The Pioneer's engines were running on emergency power only. The Endurance was barely holding together, metal plates hanging loose, systems failing one by one. The Discovery had over half its crew unable to function, but they were still moving, still pushing forward. Music. At hour 70, something beautiful happened. A star appeared ahead, a normal, stable, regular star. And GT, music. And GT, its light was steady and true. Beyond it, they could see normal space. Safe space. There, Tay whispered, pointing at the view screen with a trembling hand. The Andromeda music gateway. It was real. A natural wormhole shimmering like a tear in space. It led to another galaxy, to new opportunities, to the reason they had risked everything. All ships. Day transmitted, his voice hoarse. We made it. The edge is ahead, just a little more. One by one, the ships crossed the boundary of the burn zone. The moment they left it behind, the chaos stopped. The radiation stopped increasing. The gravitational forces returned to normal. Space was just space again. They had done the impossible. Day felt tears on his face. He did not remember starting to cry. Around him, the bridge crew wept openly. Relief, joy, exhaustion, pain. All of it came out at once. Set course for the gateway. Day ordered slow speed. And GT, music. And GT, we are in no rush now. The ships limped toward the wormhole. They moved slowly, carefully, nursing their damaged systems. It took another 6 hours to reach it. As they approached, sensors detected something. Ships. Lots of ships. Federation vessels waiting on the other side of the zone. Hundreds of them. They came to music. Watch, Tay said softly. They wanted to see if we made it. A transmission came through. It was Vrel's voice. But the ambassador sounded different. Emotional. Human ships. Music. This is Ambassador Vrel. We have been monitoring your progress. And GT, music. And GT, we watched you enter the zone. We saw you survive things that should have killed you. We witnessed your determination. On behalf of the Galactic Federation, I say, music, this. Welcome. Welcome to the other side. You have earned your place among the stars. More transmissions followed. Congratulations from the Council. Messages of amazement from various species, offers of assistance and medical aid. The Federation fleet moved forward to help. The human ships were barely functional. They needed repairs, supplies, and most importantly, medical treatment. Federation medical vessels approached carrying doctors and Technology far beyond human capabilities, music. Captain Day. A new voice transmitted. It was the crystalline being from the council. We are sending medical teams to your ships. Please allow us to help your crew. Thank you, Day replied. We accept your help. Within hours. And GT, music. And GT, alien doctors boarded all 5 human ships. They moved through corridors full of suffering people. What they saw shocked them. A Federation doctor, a being made of purple energy, spoke to Juan. How are they still alive? These radiation levels should have killed them days ago. Juan, barely able to stand himself, smiled weakly. We are humans. We are tougher than we look. This is beyond tough, the doctor replied. This is miraculous. The alien medical technology worked. Wonders. Treatments that healed radiation damage in hours instead of months. Devices that repaired tissue and bone. Medicine that cleared toxins and restored strength. The human crews recovered quickly under alien care. 3 days later, a ceremony was held. The 5 human ships, now repaired and gleaming, floated music near the Andromeda Gateway. Around them, the Federation fleet formed. A massive formation. Ships from 300 species, all gathered to witness history. The Council appeared on view screens. Across every vessel. The crystalline being spoke first. 47 expeditions failed to cross the burn zone. 2,000 beings lost their lives. Music. Trying. For a century, we believed it was impossible. Today, humanity proved us wrong. 5 ships entered, 5 ships emerged. Over 300 humans survived. Music, where no one else could. Vrel spoke next. By order of the Council, humanity is hereby granted full membership. Music. In the Galactic Federation, you will have access to all our technology, all our knowledge, all our resources. More importantly, you have our respect. You have shown us what true determination means. The jellyfish being added. We also wish to make a formal apology. When we first met, we called Earth a death world. We implied your planet made you barbaric. We were wrong. Your world made you strong. Your challenges made you resilient. Your struggles made you unbreakable. These are not flaws. They are gifts. Day stood on the bridge of the horizon, listening to these words. And GT, music. And GT, his crew stood with him still. Recovering but strong, Hannah had regained consciousness. Tay's hands had stopped shaking. G smiled for the first time in days. We did it, Hannah whispered. We actually did it. We did, Tay agreed, but we pay price. It was true, everyone had survived, but they would carry scars. Radiation exposure had long-term effects. Some crew members would have health issues for the rest of their lives. The psychological trauma would take time to heal, but they had achieved something incredible. They had opened a gateway to another galaxy. They had proven humanity's worth to hundreds of alien species. They had shown that humans could overcome any obstacle. A private transmission came through. It was from Earth. The president appeared on screen, and behind her, millions of people could be seen celebrating in the streets. Captain Day, your entire crew, all of you, President said, emotion thick in her voice. You have made humanity proud. You faced the impossible and won. The whole world watched and held their breath. When you emerged from that zone, Earth erupted in celebration. You are heroes, all of you. We just did what humans do, ma'am, Tay replied. We pushed forward. We did not give up. And that is exactly why we will thrive. Among the stars, the President Music said, come home when you are ready, but no. That home is very proud of you. And GT Music. And GT, over the next weeks the human crews recovered fully. They explored the Andromeda Gateway with Federation scientists. They learned about the galaxy beyond and the music opportunities it held. They shared their knowledge and technology with alien friends. But something else happened, something unexpected. Other Federation species music began to change their perspective. For a century, they had avoided difficult challenges. The burn zone had taught them that some things were impossible. Humanity had taught them differently. Young aliens looked at the human achievement and were inspired. If these newcomers could survive the impossible, what could they themselves achieve? The Federation had become comfortable, save cautious. Humanity had reminded them that progress requires risk. Vrel visited the horizon one last time before the human fleet returned to Federation space. The ambassador found Day in the observation deck looking out at the gateway. You have changed us. And GT, music. And GT, Vrel said simply. The Federation was stagnant. We had stopped dreaming of the impossible. You reminded us why we explored the stars in the first place. We just wanted to cross the zone, Day replied. No. Vrel disagreed. You wanted to achieve the impossible. That is different. That is human. The ambassador paused, then continued. I must tell you something. When we first detected your ship, the Council debated whether to make contact. Some feared you, your world, your biology, your capacity for violence. Earth has more wars in its history than any Federation world. Some wanted to quarantine you, to limit your expansion. And now, they asked. Now we understand. Your violence comes from your struggle. Your aggression comes from your determination. Your refusal to surrender comes from millions of years surviving a deadly world. These traits make you dangerous, yes, but they also make you incredible. The Council has voted unanimously. Not only are you welcomed, but you are valued. Humanity will help push the Federation forward into a new age of exploration. Day felt humbled by these words. We will do our best not to disappoint. And GT, music. And GT, you already have not, Vrel assured him. The burn zone was just the beginning. There are other impossible challenges waiting. Other zones, other barriers, other mysteries. The Federation needs humans to help face them. We will be ready, Day promised. As Vrel left music, Day remained in the observation deck. He thought about Earth, about home, about the journey that had music brought them here. Humanity had reached for the stars and found friends among them. But more than that, they had found purpose. They were no longer alone. They were part of something bigger. And they had proven their worth. 6 months had passed since humanity. And GT, music. And GT, crossed the burn zone. The galaxy had changed in ways no one expected. Captain Day walked through the corridors, music of Station Unity. Place that once felt alien now felt familiar. Humans moved freely among hundreds of species, working together, learning from each other, building friendships that crossed the boundaries of worlds. He was no longer captain of the Horizon. That ship had been retired, placed in a Federation museum as a symbol of human achievement. Day now held a new title. Director of Exploration. The Council had created the position specifically for him. His job was simple in concept, but difficult in practice. Lead missions to explore dangerous regions of space, places the Federation had deemed too risky, places that needed the human touch. Hannah worked with him as his second in command. She had recovered fully from the burn zone ordeal and was stronger for it. G headed the linguistics department, helping humans and aliens understand each other better. Tay ran the engineering core, teaching Federation species new ways to solve old problems. The other captains had found their own paths. Sara trained Federation security forces in human tactics. Young worked with alien scientists to push the boundaries of physics. Mina revolutionized ship design by combining human creativity with alien technology. Juan established medical exchange programs between Earth and Federation worlds. Earth itself had transformed with access to Federation technology. Humanity had solved many old problems. Clean energy, abundant food, cures for diseases, but they had not lost what made them human. They still explored, they still pushed boundaries. They still refused to accept the impossible. More human ships arrived every month. Explorers, scientists, music engineers, diplomats. Humanity poured into the galaxy with enthusiasm and determination. Music. Some Federation species found it overwhelming, others found it refreshing. Day arrived at a meeting room where the Council waited. This was a special session. They had discovered something new, something that required discussion. Thank you for coming, Director Day. The crystalline being greeted him. We have a situation that requires human insight. A holographic display. Music activated. It showed a region of space far from Federation territory. This is the void, Vrel explained. A massive area of complete emptiness. No stars, no music, planets, no light. We have detected signals coming from within it. Artificial signals. Someone or something is there. You want to investigate, Day said. And GT, music. And GT, it was not a question. Yes, but the void is dangerous in different ways than the burn zone. It is empty, dark, cold. Ships that enter lose communication. Navigation becomes impossible. Several probes sent in were never heard from again. And you think humans can succeed where probes failed? Day asked. The jellyfish being pulsed thoughtfully. Humans survived the burn zone through determination and adaptability. The void requires different skills. Patience, psychological strength. And GT, music. And GT, the ability to endure isolation and darkness. These are also human traits. Day considered this. Music. The void sounded terrifying. Empty space where light did not reach. Complete isolation from everything. And GT, music. and GT. It would test the crew in ways the burn zone had not. I will need to discuss this with my team, Day said, and with volunteers. This mission will be harder psychologically than physically. We understand, Vrel agreed. Take your time. But know this. The signals from the void have been increasing. Someone is trying to communicate. They may need help. Over the next weeks, Day assembled a team. He was honest about the dangers. Isolation, darkness, psychological stress. Many volunteered anyway. That was the human way. When others needed help, humans answered. Among the volunteers was a young woman named Ari. She was a communication specialist who had grown up hearing stories of the burn zone crossing. My whole life, I wanted to do something meaningful, she told Day during her interview. I want to be part of exploration. I want to show that the burn zone was not a one-time thing. Humans can face any challenge. There was a young man named Quan, an engineer who had redesigned life support systems. The void sounds lonely, he admitted. But lonely does not mean impossible. We just need to prepare music properly. A pilot named Bo volunteered because she loved challenges. A doctor named Hay volunteered because someone might need medical help. A scientist named Sue volunteered because the signals intrigued him. One by one, a crew came. Together, they trained for months. Psychological preparation was crucial. They learned to handle isolation, to maintain mental health in emptiness, to support each other when darkness pressed in. Federation psychologists worked with them, though they admitted humans handled isolation better than most species. Your species evolved to travel long distances across your world. One psychologist explained, early humans walked for weeks through dangerous lands. They had no guarantee of finding food or water, but they kept going. That mental strength is in your genes. The ship was specially designed for the mission. It was called the Wanderer. Every system was redundant. Life support could run for years. There were areas for exercise, for recreation, for maintaining sanity during long isolation. The day of departure arrived. The crew of 40 humans prepared to enter the void. Unlike the burn zone crossing, this time, Federation ships would not wait at the edge. Once the Wanderer entered the void, it would be truly music alone. Day addressed the crew before departure. We are attempting something no one has done. We will be alone in ways that are hard to imagine. No stars, no light, no contact with home, just us in the darkness. It will be difficult. It will test us, but I know humans. We face the darkness and find light. We endure the impossible and make it possible. We do not break. The crew responded with determination. They were ready. The Wanderer entered the void. Immediately, the darkness swallowed them. The view screen showed nothing. Sensors detected nothing. It was as if they had entered a space where reality itself was absent. And GT, music. And GT, it is beautiful in a strange way, Ari said quietly, staring at the empty blackness. The first days were the hardest. The absence of stars felt wrong. Humans had always navigated by stars, by landmarks, by reference points. Here, there was nothing, just the ship and the people in it. But they adapted. They created their own light, their own points of reference. They maintained routines, exercise, work, meals, sleep, structure helped. Fight the emptiness, the signals continued. The communications team worked constantly to decode them. Slowly patterns emerged. It was a language. Someone was calling for help. They are lost, Sue determined after weeks of analysis. A ship entered the void centuries ago. They have been stranded here sending signals hoping someone would come. Can we find them? Day asked. Yes, I can triangulate their position from the signals, but it will take months to reach them. Months in the void. Months of darkness. It was daunting, but the crew did not hesitate. Someone needed help. That was enough. They traveled deeper into the emptiness. Music. Weeks became months. The isolation pressed on everyone. They talked about Earth, about home, about the things they missed. They supported each other through difficult moments. And GT, music. And GT, they reminded each other why they were there. 5 months after entering the void, they found it, a ship ancient, damaged. Music, but still transmitting. It belonged to a species called the Kree, one of the oldest Federation members. They had entered the void 300 years ago and never returned. The Wanderer approached carefully. The ancient ship was a tomb of metal and memories, but sensors detected life. Signs, faint but present. Someone is still alive in there, he reported, amazed. How is that possible? We are about to find out, Day said. Prepare a boarding team. They entered the ancient ship. Inside they found systems barely functioning. Emergency power, minimal life support. Everything stretched to the absolute limit, and in a stasis chamber they found him, a single Kree survivor, preserved in suspended animation. Wake him carefully, he instructed. His systems are fragile. The revival took hours. Slowly the Kree returned to consciousness, his eyes open, confused and disoriented when he saw the humans. He did not understand at first. Day spoke gently, the translator making his words understandable. We are humans. We received your signal. We came to help. The Kree stared at them. You came through the void. No one comes through the void. And GT, music. And GT, we have been calling for 300 years. We are here now, Day assured him. You are safe. Tears fell from the alien's eyes. My crew, they are all gone. I was the only one who entered stasis. I waited so long, I thought no one would come. You are not alone anymore, Ari said softly. We will take you home. The return journey took another 5 months. The Kree survivor, whose name was Thek, slowly recovered. He told stories of his species, of the mission that brought them to the void, of watching his crew die one by one as they waited for rescue that never came. Why did you risk this? Thek asked Day. One day, why enter the void for someone you never met? Because you needed help, Day answered. Simply. That is what humans do. We help, even when it is difficult, even when it is dangerous. You are remarkable beings, music. Thek said, in 300 years I had given up hoping. Then humans appear. And GT, music. And GT, a species I never heard of. You do what the Federation could not. When the Wanderer finally emerged from the void, music, the Federation fleet was waiting. News of the rescue had spread. Thex people the Kree were there in force when they saw their lost ancestor alive. The celebration was overwhelming. The council held another ceremony. This time, it was not about welcoming humanity. It was about recognizing what humanity meant to the galaxy. Twice now humans have achieved the impossible, the crystalline being announced. You crossed the burn zone. You rescued a soul from the void. But more than that, you have changed us. The Federation was safe, comfortable, and stagnant. You reminded us that safety is not the only value, that courage matters, that helping others matters, that pushing boundaries matters. Frel spoke music directly today. When we first met, I wondered if humans would fit in the Federation. Now I know the truth. The Federation needed humans. We needed your determination, your courage, your refusal to accept limits. You have made us better. Day looked at his crew, at the other humans who had followed their path, at the countless aliens who had become friends. We are honored, he said, but understand this. We are not special. We are not unique. Any species can do what we do. You just have to be willing to try, to fail, to get up and try again. That is the real lesson, not that humans are unbreakable, but that nothing is truly impossible if you refuse to quit. The galaxy listened, and slowly things began to change. Young aliens volunteered for difficult missions. New expeditions launched to explore dangerous regions. The Federation stopped avoiding challenges and started embracing them. Humanity had not just joined the galaxy. They had inspired it. They had shown that progress required risk, that achievement required sacrifice, that exploration required courage. And in the darkness, music between stars, wherever challenges waited, wherever the impossible lurked, there would be humans ready to push forward, ready to endure, ready to prove that nothing was truly unbreakable except the human spirit. The story of humanity among the stars had only just begun.